My name is Louise Siwicki. I'm an executive fertility coach and fertility in the workplace advocate. For those joining you that know me, for those that don't and are watching the recording, welcome. I just want to thank you so much for being here today. We have the incredible Claire Hall and the equally as incredible Dr. Devora Lieberman here. And we're going to be talking about how to navigate the festive season. It can be, we all know fertility is one of life's toughest challenges. It is really overwhelming. There's so much emotion tied up. There's just so much stuff, for lack of a better word, to navigate. And this time of year can be even more challenging. The emotions, end of the year, another year gone, not realising your dreams, trying to navigate work, all of the different social functions, what do you say, what do you don't say, all of the things. So we want to talk about that today and hopefully give you some really helpful tips, tricks to help you navigate this really tricky time. But over and above all, I want you to know that you're not alone. Infertility can feel like you are the only person going through this extremely challenging time, and you just feel like nobody understands, but we do. And there is a safe space to see that you are not alone and all of your feelings are valid. They are completely normal. So that's why we're here today. So as I said, my name is Louise Siwicki, and I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of what we're going to do today. Then we'll go into introductions and we'll go from there. So something that people find really extraordinary about me is the fact that I gave birth to 3 kids in 3 years. And I guess the reason they find that so extraordinary is the fact that I struggled with infertility for 6 years before becoming a mum. And it was really through this life-changing experience we all know about that I found my true passion and my purpose, and I now support high-performing women who are struggling to realise their dreams of becoming a mum, to find that balance, who are overwhelmed with stress and anxiety and all the things that we get consumed by, or the fear, all the anxiety, everything. And although my reach is now global, I'm the head of development for the European Fertility Society in Australia. My passion and my purpose remain really personal. So that's a little about me. Claire, welcome.
Thanks, Lou, and thanks so much for inviting me here tonight. I'm really excited about getting to talk about this festive season and how to really empower women through it. So I started out as a counsellor back in 2004 now, and then quickly became a life coach. And then in 2013, IVF just knocked on my door. Literally, I just had my second son and I got a phone call saying, can you write a free course for women? The pharmaceutical company would pay for it, for women going through IVF. And so from there, this huge door opened and I just found this incredible opportunity to make a difference to women's lives. And then I got to meet the wonderful Devora, and together several years later, we came up with our book. And yeah, we're just here really doing everything we can to make sure this journey is as easy as possible for women.
Amazing. Dr. Devora.
Hi, I'm Devora Lieberman. I am the New South Wales Medical Director for City Fertility. I have been working in the infertility space in Sydney since the last century, long time. And I met Claire when she was starting out, opening that door to IVF. And as soon as I met Claire, I was like, oh, instant, because I felt that the counseling world in IVF hadn't changed, and I think actually it still hasn't changed. My patients don't need to have their feelings validated. We know that it's okay to feel lousy when you're going through fertility treatment. The challenge is, what do you do with those feelings? So I often say to people, oh, it's not that Claire doesn't care about how you feel, but it's not so much about how you feel, it's how you think about how you feel. And how to get yourself out of the muck and live your life and manage all of those feelings while moving forward every day, step by step. So I'm here to provide, to the extent that I can, medical advice and medical support to people going through IVF treatment.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. So I guess a little bit of I've had a couple of questions come in as well, which has kind of taken a little bit of a new direction, I guess, on what we want to chat about. But, I guess tonight we really want to chat about how do we navigate the holiday season? What do we say to someone? That everyone has a question, and a lot of the time it's well-meaning, but how do you handle those questions? And it can, I find by going in with a plan and understanding how, and having a couple of answers to generic questions that you may or may probably get asked, you feel much more in control, you feel much more empowered, and you feel like you've got the reins, so you're not going in on the back foot, which means that you can enjoy those celebrations maybe that a little bit more. So I'm going to have a bit of a chat about that, give you some ideas on maybe what you can, and give you an example of a couple of answers to questions. We're going to be talking about how do you manage stress, emotions, that kind of thing, because they're big, they're going to come up. They're probably already coming up. They're definitely already coming up. So how can we really take control of those? And going into 2025, let's put together a bit of a plan. What if 2024, which it wasn't, if you're here, wasn't your year, then what can we do differently, or how can you? How can you look at it differently, or what else can we do to help you feel a little bit more in control? Self-compassion, self-care, all of the things that get pushed to the back as women in general, but definitely on your fertility journey. And then a medical perspective. What can we be doing over the holidays to put us in the best place for 2025? So that's the general run sheet. Navigate a holiday, parties, family functions, all of the things. Claire, what's your advice that you give to your clients, or you would give to people who are here live or listening back? How do we navigate these holidays, these festive parties, gatherings, the pregnancies, the new babies, the baby's first Christmas, all of the things that are in our face? What do we do, in your opinion?
Absolutely loaded. Everywhere you turn at Christmas, it is a family-focused festivities. So we have to learn how to escape that by controlling what we can, and the only thing we can control are our thoughts. So we need to get really clear on what are the potential triggers of this festive season. And I think we need to narrow it down. This is not going to be the next 4 months. This is just a period of time. It could even be 14 days you're off work, or that's, you need to really know what is the time frame that I'm going to have to survive while everybody else is celebrating something that I wish I was celebrating. So you may want to have, I always like to have a pen and paper to hand whenever we're looking at how to handle emotions, thoughts, mindsets. Think about a journal. I'm pretty old-fashioned. Journal, pen, let's get the brain mechanics working again. We can look at, and I drew something tonight, and I do beg your forgiveness because I am not an artist, but this is oh, look, and it's not even working. Excellent. Oh, there we go. I better not move. We've got a bit of a circle. That is you in the middle, and you see the heart in the center. This is a intimacy circle. So you're in the middle in zone 1. Well, you're actually in zone 0, but zone 1 is those loved ones around you that are privy to the intimate journey, the intimacies of your life, the journey that you're going through. Now, these are the people that you trust, that you can be vulnerable with, and that you're safe with. And then you can take it out further and further. And so what I would suggest is doing these 10 rings and labeling all the people in your life that you're going to see over this festive time, labeling where they sit in relation to the intimacy of your life, how close you feel towards them, and how much information they are privy to. Now, this is a moving document, so it's just going to it's just going to articulate this moment in time. Now, when you are able to visually see who's in my circle, who's in my safe zone, you don't owe anyone out of that zone any explanation whatsoever, which is going to start to empower you to think, I don't need to be in a situation where I have to explain why I don't have kids, or whatever insensitive question could come out of these people's mouths. So when we get to really clear on where you sit with the social network that you live within, you can then start thinking about, okay, so with these different zones, I'm going to have different responses to people. So the people in my intimate zone, maybe it's a good idea to navigate Christmas and the festive season with a text message. I want you to know I'm going through this tough time right now, and please be aware I may or may not be able to show up to your festive party. And I apologize that I'm not able to give you an absolute yes or no, but that's where I'm at right now. And that's okay. You also could tell them, I think it's really good to set the expectations with them, set the time. You know, I'm only going to be able to stay for an hour at your party, or I'd like to just see you at a cafe, if that's all right, on Boxing Day or whatever. Now, when we get to the people further out of the zones, that's when we can have some fun with responses. So,
I like that. I like that spin. Have some fun.
yes. And don't get me wrong, this takes a bit of guts, because I'm sure we don't naturally have that assertive nature. Well, you know, some of us does professionally. It's much easier to do that than it is personally. So I suggest, and I've got some little practice ones here from our book, I suggest you practice it in the mirror repeatedly, or with a partner or a trusted friend, until you become unconsciously competent, which means that it rolls off your tongue without you even thinking about it. So if you have to face a question like this, or a triggering question like this, so when are you two gonna, or when are you gonna start a family? Here are 3 responses. When the time is right. That's not something I can answer right now. Or why do you want to know? Or humor it up a bit, when they come with a guarantee. Or why are you selling yours? Or if you don't like the person, just say, well, after watching your parenting, never, or something. You have the power. But that's, you know, list them out, practice them in the mirror, and then you're going to free up so much mind space. You're going to get to the party and go, well, I'm covered with those people, or nothing's going to knock me off my grounded position.
I love
I call it fertility shaming, Claire. You know, and Jennifer Aniston is my poster woman for fertility shaming. And I think that the question, do you have kids, or all of those, they should just be stricken from social discourse. You know, it's just, and I think if you're at a holiday party and you're meeting someone that you have never met before, don't ask them if they have children. I promise you, if they have children, they will tell you within the first 5 minutes of meeting them about their children. Nobody needs to ever ask the question, do you have children?
Well, it's a status. Do you have children? The brain sees it as a trigger to your status. And even though it's not, but the brain sees it as children are, or children are valued on we're a pronatal society, everything's geared towards this. And so when someone says, do you have children? The brain subconsciously goes straight into a defenses up. No, I don't. Does that mean that I'm lower in the pecking order? And then all of a sudden we've got cortisol rushing through our system. So I'm with you, Devora, just don't ask.
I 100% agree. And I remember when I came back from getting engaged and I walked into the office of my work in Brisbane, and the first thing, it was like 9:01 on the morning. I'd been away for 3 weeks. Everyone had obviously found out I'd been engaged. When are you going to have kids? We were 5 years into trying for kids, and we'd gone on the holiday because I was like dying inside and I needed something to and that just killed me. That one comment that was well-meaning, I agree, don't do it. It shouldn't be asked.
Yeah.
Well, but that doesn't help people who get asked the question, I suppose. So what I tell my patients is just have those ready responses. The quicker you can answer it and deflect, the less impact it will have on you emotionally.
100%. So moving on from that, managing our emotions then. How do we do that? Who wants to go first? Claire? Devora?
That's a Claire question.
Claire?
Managing emotions. Well, there's some really big emotions that come up. There's these feelings of out of control, the uncertainty that comes with the anxiety. I haven't come across this yet. Maybe you have, Devora, or you, Lou, that where no one's actually coined the term post-traumatic fertility stress, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that appears in the next decade. It is the stress that comes with infertility is on par with treatment for cancer, except for people going through infertility treatment or fertility treatment are not allowed to express this as as something that is acceptable in society, which is bizarre. And I hope in another 10 years that will be not the case anymore. So in looking at this, you're going to be feeling this absolute roller coaster. They talk about the roller coaster of infertility. So this roller coaster is sending you up and down, up and down. Now, as Devora said at the beginning here, it's not what you feel, it's how you think about what you feel. And I think the most important thing here is you cannot will yourself to not think these thoughts or feel these feelings. No amount of willpower in the world. If I told you all now to think of Santa Claus stuck in the chimney, or sorry, I should have said, don't think of Santa Claus stuck in the chimney. You're all thinking of Santa Claus stuck in the chimney. Even if I said, don't think about a pink elephant, like, of course, your brain goes straight there. But the point is, you have this veto power, which is the most important thing you're going to have over this festive season and into 2025. You can veto your own thoughts. And that takes a lot of mindfulness, because you're sort of splitting your brain in two. You've got your higher self and you've got your lower self. And when your brain comes in with your lower self thoughts, which are, I mean, we go into lots of detail in the book, these are just mechanics of your brain. It is not personal. Everyone's brain is the same. So when your brain goes into autopilot like it's designed to do, you can get hijacked, and that will lead to more thoughts, more feelings, and down we go on the roller coaster. But with the veto power, knowing that I have a choice here, I choose what I focus on. And while I'm choosing what I focus on, that doesn't mean I'm not going to feel this anxiety. It means that I know the anxiety will ride out of my system by what I focus on. And that is really important. And I really stress the importance of mindfulness. And if anyone's come across the HeartMath Institute, it's a phenomenal organization in the States, and they're working on the electromagnetic field of the heart and simple techniques. This is the beauty of all this. The simple techniques of getting your heart into coherence. The biological feedback or biochemical feedback is that you're putting yourself out of fight or flight and back into a much more peaceful, calm state. And that's simply by focusing on your heart, focusing on your breath. And I know I say, oh, it's so simple. And it's the hardest thing to do in the world when you're being hijacked. But flex that muscle, it will build. And before you know it, you'll be able to ride out these waves and veto the thought, the feeling out of your system.
And we all think that, and I thought it as well, and every person that I talk to, all of my clients think, well, it's just a thought, you know, it doesn't matter, or you know, surely it's not going to make a difference. But it does in the long term. I mean, when your body is at war, I mean, it's focusing on obviously bringing down all of the cortisol levels, bringing balance back to your body and the reproductive system. Well, it just kind of gets put over here, doesn't it? Because it's non-essential, and there's a war happening in your body, and it's the body kind of says, mind says, no, hang on, this isn't safe for the body to easily fall pregnant at the moment. We've got other stuff that we need to look at. So so important, and it's the little things, isn't it? That like the simple techniques, or the focusing on the breath, or we forget to breathe. Learn how to.
We absolutely. And I think when you start this journey into exploring, I'm not just my thoughts, I am so much more. What is your body saying to you? When you're holding your breath, when your shoulders are up, like you can start this dialogue and get your mind-body connection back in gear and back online. I suppose I also want to preface there as well that you can go so far, but as I witness in 99% of my sessions with patients, we probably talk about fertility, IVF treatment about 10%. The rest is all the underneath stuff that's bubbling away that they probably would have gone another 10, 20 years without addressing. Life would have just carried on distracting. So I think there's definitely a place to sort your stuff out as well. And so that there's less triggers in that emotional bag that you're carrying around on your back.
100%. And it's kind of like we get scared, don't we? It's like, oh, it's what. I surely it will go away if I just keep going, or if I just keep these stress levels, surely tomorrow's a new day, and you just kind of keep pushing on, scared that if I open this Pandora's box, I don't know what I'm going to find. So I'm just not going. It's just ignorance is bliss, and at the end of the day, it's kind of a bit like grief, isn't it? It kind of follows you and keeps kind of slapping you little bits in the face and kind of giving you little, until one day it's a really big wake up call, and you have to deal.
Yeah. It's like you keep getting served food and you can only eat half of it. So you put the other half in the fridge, and you keep putting it in the fridge, and you have this big fridge of rotting food. And we don't know what to do with it because we don't know what to do with it. And that's why we're here tonight. But also I do really encourage people, as you know, Lou, like talking about this is really empowering with a professional to help clear out that is it clear out, or is it just get that roller coaster a bit more calm?
Find some balance, maybe.
Balance, yeah.
To balance, find your happy. I always like to say, find your happy heart again. Find that girl that's kind of been lost under the weight of infertility and life, and just get back to her little bits at a time, and then you just never know. Do you?
Can I just step in for a moment? Because look, it is a stressful time, and going through infertility and this treatment can be very stressful. Important to know, stress does not cause infertility. We have years and years and years of data that support this fact. So when people tell you, oh, just go on holiday, you need to stop stressing, that's actually whatever stress you're feeling, as long as you're still having regular periods, is not going to affect your ability to get pregnant. Your ovaries do not have stress receptors. When you conceive, that embryo doesn't know that you are stressed. If that was the case, we would not have baby booms in war zones. Yeah, I just can't emphasize enough that don't be concerned about how much stress you're under. Again, as long as you're having regular periods and it's not impacting your ability to have sex, stress is a part of life these days.
Can I ask you a question, Devora, then on that topic? We put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect.
Yeah.
We have to, we don't drink alcohol. We do, we eat the right amount of calories. We're doing the exact amount of exercise. We've got this to-do list of everything. And then if something goes a little bit astray on a certain day, perhaps during the cycle, then we go into this spin. And then if we get a negative result, then
it was that pizza I ate. It was, yeah.
So what thoughts on that?
All right. I'm a big believer in moderation. Okay. And I see people who deprive themselves of everything that gives them pleasure and joy. They've stopped having their morning latte. They've given up dairy. They've given up gluten. They've given up everything. and you actually need dairy. And if you're not celiac, you need gluten. These things are absolutely fine. You just need to give yourself permission that this is not, giving these things up is ultimately probably not going to help you, and it's just going to make you feel worse about the process and yourself. So eat the pizza.
We don't have to be perfect to get pregnant.
No.
I think that's the next webinar for you, Lou. You don't have to be perfect to be pregnant. That's fantastic.
I have this conversation over and over and over with so many of my clients about the pressure they put on themselves. They have a team of about 10 people that they're seeing, you know, from all, and they are putting so much pressure on themselves to do everything that it's actually paralyzing them, and it's probably putting them in this massive stress response that is actually causing them more problems than if they were to just, you know, take the pressure off and just, I mean, it's really hard though, isn't it? Because you put so we think it's
Our fault.
even, you know, if we miscarry, what did I do that month that caused the miscarriage? I mean, the body we don't give the body enough credit. I think we can't cause a miscarriage in that way, and we certainly can't cause infertility in that way either.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's you can certainly diet and exercise your way out of fertility. You can be overweight, underweight, you can smoke, you can have chemotherapy. I would say being healthier doesn't make you fertile-er. So moderation.
Everything in moderation.
In moderation.
All right. So we kind of covered a bit of stress management then. What about self-care, self-compassion, doing things for us during this time? I think is just making our hearts happy, you know, doing what makes us truly happy, giving ourselves a break, you know. What are your thoughts, Claire?
Yeah, I think that is so important, not just at Christmas, but also throughout the year, throughout every single cycle. I think most of my one-on-one sessions always come back to what is your emotional toolkit. You know, you are going to get hijacked on this journey by what I call brain monkeys. You are going to have the perfectionist brain monkey, you're going to have the negative brain monkey, whatever those brain monkeys are, or you're going to have the mother-in-law brain monkey. You know, someone's going to be pressing these buttons inside your brain. And what are you going to do to balance that out? And there's different levels here. You know, we can talk about above the surface ones, which are you get your massage, you get your facial, you go and do some yoga, you do whatever it is, you do your painting, find your joy. Your tank is empty. Treatment will do that to you because you've got no time or space or mental capacity to be filling your tank up with joy. So when we get to, oh, lost my trail of thought there. So when we get to festive time, what was I saying? My mind is racing with everything I want to cover.
Your tank is empty.
Your tank is empty. You've got to fill it right above the surface. So all of the things like art, etc. These are all things you can do. Make you feel good. Put your body into a little bit of relaxation. But we need to go under the surface as well. That is where we really have to detox thoughts that are harming us. What are these brain monkeys, a deceptive brain message? What are they telling you on repeat, day in, day out? They are draining your energy. Now, I actually, when preparing for tonight, I was really thinking, this is a tough time. It is without doubt. We know exactly what these next 2 weeks are going to be about. But what if you were to rewrite it through the filter of finding your own joy? What if this was actually a good opportunity to say, I'm not going to be at work. I've got the skill of saying no to people, so I can free up my own time. How could I fill up all of my tanks? My love tank, my joy tank, my happiness tank. What do I need to do in order to feel really refreshed and empowered for 2025. And New Year's Eve, like, yeah, you got to feel a little bit excited. New Year's Day it's an infectious time of year. There's new beginnings. It is quite exciting. How can you capitalize on that? Go with the flow of it. Get a journal, do a vision board, like really building your resilience by looking at how can I take control of this?
And I agree. And I think by making that decision, you've put yourself back in the driver's seat, haven't you? Because most of the time you feel like you just have no control over this, and you've lost your sense of control, your sense of self, you've lost everything. And then that becomes overwhelming, and that's scary, and there's anxiety and fear and all the things. So by doing something like that, you feel like you've put yourself back in the driver's seat, you've taken control. It's an instant shift, isn't it? Then you start to build the momentum. Well, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can start to move through this and move forward. It's maybe I do have some control here. Like, it's a complete shift, isn't it? It's almost like a shift in your physiology.
Yes. And I love how you're saying maybe, or what if, or when I do this, I get more of this. So we're thinking, or maybe I've got to do this. It's all quite limiting. But in fact, the more joy I have, the more higher my energy is and resilient I feel to go into 2025. Something else I just want to add as well with journaling. I did kind of slip in the saying no there. I don't know. I hope everyone's happy and confident in saying no. There will probably never be another time in your life when you have every bit of permission to say no to anything you want. And, you really need to own that and embrace it. But looking at detoxing some beliefs, what are people, situations that drain me? Who are people, situations, circumstances that energize me? Just that simple reevaluation. Say no to that list in 2025 and say hell yes to this list.
Those are the New Year's resolutions, yeah?
Yeah.
No, you're like resolutions.
Well,
and just in terms of letting go of things and embracing
definitely letting go, embracing. Yeah.
And not being scared, I think, to let go of the old and embrace the new, because obviously the old is safe, isn't it? And it's familiar, it's not serving us, but we know what it's like. So it's warm, it's fuzzy, it's like, oh, I know it's not necessarily serving me, but I feel safe here.
Yeah, familiar.
But I haven't realized, I'm unhappy and I haven't realized my dreams, and I don't want to be scared anymore, and I don't want to live like this anymore.
Yeah.
And I think, it's once again, that's another decision that completely changes your thought process. And for me personally, that it was 2017, it was Christmas, and I locked myself in the house because I felt like I was, my life was over. I was 6 years in. I couldn't face family. I felt so disempowered. I didn't feel like I could go out but what shifted for me was that decision. I decided that I didn't want to do this anymore, that I had control, that I was going to stand up and say, you know what, I need this in order for me to almost re-enter society and stand up and say, you know what, I used to be a social person, and I deserve to be in these social situations without feeling intimidated. And it changed everything. Just a couple of small decisions. They're hard, but they're doable. Everyone can do it. Everyone's got it within them. You've got the power within you. I just want everyone listening and here to know that you can do it. You mightn't think that you can at the moment, but everyone has the power to do it.
And can I add a little thing onto that as well? That's really encouraging and motivating, inspiring hearing you say that. And if people also review 2024 and look at what they have gone through through the lens of being a warrior, like being someone that got through all of that, and probably no one knows that you went to work. and felt the way you did, or had to, you know, disappear for certain point. Like that is like you need to value that, because that is putting down the foundations for next year, that you can do tough things, really tough things. You think you can't, but obviously the evidence says you can.
We've all got it in us, don't we? We just, it's making that decision, that split decision, that we're not going to live like this anymore, and we want to take control, and then asking ourselves, what is it we need to do to move ourselves forward? Who do we need to see? What people do we need to surround ourselves with? What professionals do we need? Trusting our intuition, trusting our gut, listening and not being scared, and just doing it. Amazing. Okay, so Devora, from a medical perspective, what can we be doing now, obviously, to put ourselves on the front foot from a medical perspective into 2025?
Yeah. Well, I think most clinics these days will have downtimes. So you can't have treatment over the festive season. Festive and, yeah. I say embrace that time. It's enforced time out of treatment. Get back to you and your partner, if you have one, about what brought you together in the first place, and to value and re-up the importance of that relationship. Eat the pizza, drink the champagne. It's not going to kill you. Stay on your prenatal vitamins, because you never know. And if you have health issues that you need to grapple with in this time, it's a good time to kind of take stock. And is my weight where it needs to be? How am I going to focus on that in the new year? Is my thyroid okay? You know, just a physical, mental health check, and do what you need to do to reinvigorate yourself and re-energize yourself for your next round of treatment, if that's what you're looking at. Yeah, I think I used to work at a clinic that we never shut, and we were only shut on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And I think now that most clinics have stopped doing that, it's actually a good thing. And we know very well from COVID time that a month or two out of treatment is not going to have any impact whatsoever on your chance of success. We know that people think every month is precious. A month I'm not having treatment is a month lost. That's actually not true. It's okay to take that break, that mental, physical break from treatment. It will not have an impact on the chance of your next cycle being successful. So just think of this as enforced recreation.
I like that. Go and have some fun.
Go have fun. Go have fun.
Go and have some fun. I was watching the Inside Out movie. I haven't watched it before. And I loved Joy. I was just like, life's meant to be fun, isn't it? We get so serious, we get so caught up in all of the seriousness of it, but life is meant to be fun. Let's have some fun. And it's generally from that point that things, you know, our dreams do come true, isn't it? From whatever, you know, whether it be career, relationships, you know, whatever it is, it's because we're enjoying life, isn't it?
Getting in flow.
Yeah.
Flow, we're in a high vibration, and then things just appear to us because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
It's almost like magic, really, in a way, isn't it? The magic of life.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said there around having an attitude of curiosity. You know, I'm really curious because I don't know. And humans don't like to say, I don't know. We'd much rather have certainty, because certainty leads to control. And if we're in control, we don't need to set off that amygdala and we don't need to be in panic. So if we can be comfortable and get ourselves comfortable into, I'm really curious about how this will unfold, or I'm open to this or something better. So it's almost like getting your foot off the gas and just going, I'm on the road. I'm just going to cruise for a while because I know where I'm heading. And like Devora said, we can get hung up on all these, this has got to be this cycle, it's got to be this month, it's got to be, don't eat the pizza. When in fact, imagine if you just took your foot off the gas and the brake at the same time, because a lot of us travel like this. We're going, we're stopping, we're going, stopping. And then just, I'm curious how I can show up my best in these circumstances and what's here to support me. And I mean, how many times has something's just crossed your path, some synchronicities where you've gone, oh, that's what I've needed. And it's provided without stress and struggle.
I love that. I think we get so caught up in our time frame as well. I want to have a baby now because my best friend will be on maternity leave at the same time, and it'll be the end of the year, and then we just go into the holidays, and it's just kind of, it's perfect timing. And then that's when we start to push and struggle, isn't it? Yeah, but this was, and then I sold a business, or I changed careers, or I did this because this is perfect timing and I must have a baby now. When at the end of the day, when we're 60, 70, 80, it's not going to matter. A couple of years here or there is not going to matter, is it really, in the grand scheme of things? Because your baby will come at the perfect timing for you.
Yeah.
Or if not, what does life look like otherwise? Yeah.
100%. I mean, sometimes a baby is not, I mean, some people are not, it's not part of your story, is it? And then, and that's completely fine too. And so what does, I mean, I truly believe that we have, our life is mapped out for us before we're born in some way, shape or form, and we don't really have any control. We can live our life, but there's a certain path that we were destined to follow, and sometimes that doesn't mean that there's a baby, or we're not meant to be parents, or it could look different, but the life that is destined for us, or is that mapped out for us, or that is on the other side, I mean, who's saying that it's not 20,000 times better than the one that we were trying to create anyway? Like, I know so many women that are now childless, not by choice, but
Child-free.
child-free, footloose and fancy-free, but they have incredible careers which take them travelling around the world, and they serve to the highest capacity different people in different ways that they would not be able to do if they had kids. So that was their calling, and they are truly happy with that now. I mean, it's taken a lot of work to get from where they are, obviously, to that point, but that was meant to be their story.
Yeah. I think we actually cover that in the first chapter. I am not trying to plug the book, by the way. I'm just saying it's really useful.
Yeah.
It's easy to
Hey, we make 40 cents for every book we sell, Claire. Go.
Devora and I are not retiring anytime soon. But we do start with, how did you get here? Like, which is a really good place to go. Did I choose this? Like, what the hell just happened? I've woken up and I'm going from clinic to clinic. I'm, when you sit down and explore how did you get here? What is the journey and the story that has got you here? You can start to make peace with it and acceptance around it. And then all of a sudden, one fight is not taking up your energy inside. And then it's also interesting to look at the expectations that we grow up with. My grandma, she fell pregnant at 45. Oh my God, it was a disaster and blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, we're really fertile. And mum had 5 children when she didn't even try. And all of a sudden we've gathered all this data in our subconscious that it is terrible if we need assistance with fertility, that it is not what is supposed to be my story. And we have to explore all of that in order to be free of it. And then you can rock up to Devora's office and, like you say, so many of your patients just go, okay, now I'm back in control. And they never thought they would feel that. So that sense of curiosity, how can I get to my goal as quickly and as pain-free as possible without all this emotional baggage?
All right. We have a couple of minutes left. Does anyone have any questions? I've got a couple of questions for Devora. So Rebecca, Kristen, Kaylee, do you have any questions for any of us before I go into these questions?
Difficult situations you're concerned about encountering? No.
All right. One of the questions is, okay, so
Nope.
the most, oh,
Empowered fertility.
I thought I could show it. Oh, there you go.
there you go, you've got to put it back. There, you made 40 cents.
Yay! Thank you.
Okay, so what are the most common reasons an IVF cycle might fail, and how do you adjust treatment plan after a failed cycle?
Almost always when an IVF cycle, or a natural cycle for that matter, is successful, it's because there was something wrong with the embryo. It is almost never about a woman's ability to carry a baby. Okay? And I blame family planners like me. I started out in gynecology and family planning. I blame family planners like me for making the whole world think that every single act of unprotected sex is going to result in a baby. Human beings are ridiculously inefficient reproducers. The vast, vast, vast majority of embryos that we make are not normal. They do not have the ability to implant, let alone become a baby. So this is also not something that is in your control. So it is, again, almost always about the embryo. I look at factors. Preconception, are there things that we can do to optimize egg and embryo quality? And different doctors will have different views about this. I have a range of supplements that I recommend, have tiny bits of evidence that they might be able to help. If you're going through IVF treatment, you want to know that you're going through a clinic that has a good lab that's not going to stuff it up. In IVF, we don't make embryos better. We make more, and that's basically the goal, right? If the vast majority of your embryos aren't normal, if you can stimulate ovaries to produce a number of eggs, make a number of embryos, increase that number, we increase the odds that there will be a normal one or two among them. That's really the goal of IVF, apart from overcoming things like male factor infertility or endometriosis. But you know, the majority of my patients are over the age of 38, and the biggest challenge I deal with is the age-related decline in fertility, which has to do with older eggs being more likely to be chromosomally abnormal, so therefore not able to make a healthy embryo, healthy baby. I can't change that. In terms of IVF stimulation regimens, there is no one perfect stimulation regimen. If there was, everybody'd be on it. You know, I have my preferred methods of stimulation. I believe in keeping stimulation as simple for you as possible, especially as many of my patients have had. They come to me after having 3, 4, 6 cycles elsewhere. You all are familiar with those pictures of the babies surrounded by the heart shape of all the injections. I try to minimize that, keep things simple. And in general, if someone's ovaries have responded as I expect them to, given their ovarian reserve, I would do the same treatment. Again, I'm not a believer in changing treatment regimen for the sake of it. And in fact, there's evidence that shows that you're far better off staying on the same horse than changing midstream. So doctors who tell you, oh, this didn't work, we're going to go to do this. You may feel that they're doing something new and trying to make things different for you. But if you were expected to get 6 eggs in your IVF cycle and you got 6 eggs, there's no point in changing the stimulation regimen, if that makes sense, because the stimulation isn't going to change the quality of those eggs. If someone doesn't respond as I expect them to, then yes, I take those lessons on board and we adjust and adapt and change things. I think it's the most important and most difficult part of my job is managing expectations. And, you know, understanding from the get-go what people might expect from treatment. Thinking about Claire, I saw a woman today. She's 40. She's just completed 5 years of breast cancer treatment. And she was just completely shut down. She just wanted to know, is IVF even a possibility for me? Because she's had chemo, doesn't know. She just needed to know those answers, and I think, sensitive to the fact we didn't go too far into things. I said, well, right, we're going to get the baseline information so you know what we're dealing with. We all know what we're dealing with. We can manage that. So
Amazing.
somebody had a question.
Kristen has a question.
You're on mute, Kirsten.
You've got the floor. I think you're on mute. Oh, sorry, it's not working. Do you just
You want to type it in?
type it in?
Controversial question. I like this. I love controversy. Natural killer cells. Yeah. Not a believer. I think that implantation failure is a bit of a myth. There was a recent study published just a couple months ago looking at consecutive embryo transfers of chromosomally normal embryos. After 5 transfers of chromosomally normal embryos, 98% of women took home a baby. This is almost never about a woman's ability to carry a baby. It is almost always about embryo quality. And, that's a hard conversation to have with patients, to say, your embryos aren't great. We might need to look at other options. Easier to say, oh, it must be this, it must be that, it must be your immune system. I think that might be true for a tiny minority of people. Yeah, that's my take. So I think if you're going to look to find those women who've had 5 euploid embryo transfers, it's going to be a difficult study to do. The proponent of the Bondi protocol has never actually published any randomized controlled data about this. Been waiting for that for 20 years, haven't seen it. I think that frankly, some components of the Bondi protocol are potentially harmful. Taking steroids, we know, will, from a pregnancy perspective, increased risk of gestational diabetes, preterm delivery, all sorts of obstetric complications, let alone the cleft palate and face that's associated with. So I find it difficult to recommend a potentially teratogenic medication for a problem that I'm not sure really exists.
Does that answer your question?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the evidence. I mean, if somebody can show me evidence that it's real and that the treatment makes a difference, I'm open to it. But you can see the problem of doing a study, right? If so many people will get pregnant with each transfer of a normal embryo, well, I could tell my patients to stand on their head in a corner for 20 minutes a day and eat 3 pineapple cores. They were going to get pregnant with that subsequent transfer no matter what. It's about getting a good embryo.
Amazing. I think for time, we might leave it there. Does anyone else have any questions? Beck, do you have a question? Kaylee, question? No? I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for coming along. It's been thank you, Claire and Devora, for doing this with me. I was so excited when you said yes. It's just, I think it's a really important conversation to have from both perspectives. So for me, it's something I was really passionate about bringing to you, and I'm glad we did. So I hope that we answered all your questions, and, you know, at the end of the day, validated, you know, you're not alone. We know that your feelings are your feelings, but it's about making the decision to do something about it, and how can we take control. Thank you so much. Claire, Devora, do you have anything else to say before we go?
Happy holidays. Eat the pizza.
It doesn't have to be perfect to get pregnant. Drink champagne and eat pizza if you're not pregnant.
Yep. Thank you, Lou. This was
Thank
wonderful.
you, Lou. Thank you for organizing. Appreciate it.
Thank you
No
for
worries. Thank
attending.
you, ladies.
Good
Have a-
2025 to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone, and
Merry Christmas.
yeah, make the most of it.